Good morning. Here's a rundown of today's top U.S. news. Politics and global affairs. A major focus today is the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, with Senate Democrats sending a letter to the Trump administration urging a large-scale expansion of aid and a resumption of ceasefire talks. This bipartisan concern comes as reports indicate real starvation in the region. President Trump himself has acknowledged the severity of the situation, stating that people have to get food and safety right now and promising U.S. cooperation with European allies to establish food centers in Gaza. This marks a notable shift in tone from previous Israeli assertions that starvation was not occurring. On the diplomatic front, President Trump has issued a new, shorter deadline for Russia to end the conflict in Ukraine, threatening sanctions and secondary tariffs if an agreement is not reached within 10 to 12 days. This comes as the U.S. and Russia have already begun talks in Saudi Arabia regarding the war, without the direct participation of European or Ukrainian officials. Separately, a new trade framework has been unveiled with Japan, proposing a 15% import tax, lower than initially threatened, in exchange for Japanese investment and market access. Similar deals with the European Union are also taking shape, with 15% tariffs on certain goods. However, many trade details remain unresolved, leading to some investor caution in Asian markets today. Healthcare and social issues. The healthcare sector is seeing significant developments. Premiums for Medicare, Part D drug plans are projected to increase sharply next year due to rising costs and regulatory changes. In a related development, the National Institutes of Health, NIH, is reportedly planning to cut research grants due to new administration policies. On a different note, Medicaid funding has been restored to Planned Parenthood clinics nationwide following a federal judge's ruling that a previous budget reconciliation law was discriminatory. Meanwhile, the Justice Department's Civil Division has announced new enforcement priorities, including targeting what it deems unlawful discriminatory practices in the private sector, specifically referencing the administration's executive order aimed at eliminating illegal private sector DEI preferences. The ACLU has also filed a class action lawsuit against the administration, challenging a new ICE policy that strips bond eligibility for millions of detained immigrants. Economy and environment. Economically, investors are closely watching the Federal Reserve's upcoming interest rate decision, with most analysts expecting rates to remain steady until September. Technology and AI-linked stocks are continuing to drive market momentum, with significant investments and deals being announced in the semiconductor and AI chip sectors. On the environmental front, nearly half of the U.S. is bracing for a heat wave with soaring temperatures and humidity, raising concerns about power demand and public health. Furthermore, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, is expected to roll out a draft rule that aims to limit its own authority to regulate climate pollution, potentially rescinding a 16-year-old scientific finding that underpins current climate rules. Concerns are also being raised about budget cuts impacting the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, and its valuable climate data archives.